Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome back to Fat Cat Collections. And today I'm excited to share with you guys, or re-share with you guys, a smart home tech product that got sent to me a couple months ago. I installed it, and I recorded the review, and I didn't realize it until the company contacted me. eLink Smart, they were the nice folks who sponsored this video, and I've worked with them before on other smart home tech products. I didn't realize I uploaded the wrong video. It was supposed to be a video I was supposed to trash, because even though I review very raw, unedited, just straight up like me and you are sitting here, or we're sitting here in my home, and I'm sharing this stuff with you guys, and I like to film that way. Sometimes I gotta do a couple takes. Like this video, for instance, this is my third take. Sometimes I just stumble on my words, and I think most of us do that. I'm not a professional actor here, so, and even professional actors, there's a lot involved in making a video or a movie or whatever. So anyway, I apologize to eLink Smart, and I'm excited to share this product with you guys in detail. And I want to share with you guys the pros and cons. And very rarely, when I review a watch, for the most part, it's usually always pros, because I kind of know what I'm getting. I'm pretty familiar with the brands that I get, and most of the time there's nothing really I find that's an issue. It's a watch, it's a little different. It's not fully featured. They basically have a date and a time and maybe a chronograph. So they all pretty much do the same thing. Again, there are different levels of quality, but with smart home tech, it's a little bit different, and there are good products that are smart home tech products, and there are ones that I think can use a little bit of improvement. And this is one that is a great product. The price point, I'm not sure what it's going for today. Last time I checked a couple days ago, it was $89.99 shipped to your door. It was on special for $59.99 shipped to your door. I will put links in the description where you can pick these up. I'm not sure if that was a sale they're having or whatnot, but prices do fluctuate sometimes. But even under $100 for a smart home tech Wi-Fi doorbell is a great price. And this has got a lot of great features. So again, the company's called eLink Smart, and this is the doorbell right here, minus the back, which is located outside. I'll take you out there and show you what that looks like in just a second. You can see you have your doorbell button right on the front there. You have your infrared, which is behind this kind of shielded or kind of tinted plastic, your camera, and on the back you have a couple contacts. We're going to address that in a second. You have a speaker, a microphone, and it's not super large. It's a little larger than some of your Ring doorbells, but for the price point, I think it's nice looking. And I love when I walk up to the door at night just to test this thing. You get an alert to your phone. As you can see, due to movement, the doorbell is actually lighting up that nice blue ring so people can see it really well. And I think it's a great product. So let's talk about just some of the features. Now, I'm not going to show you guys the app, of course, because it's pretty standard on what you'd expect with any kind of camera app. So if you have experience with like some of the other ones that I reviewed, or you have a home surveillance system where you have separate cameras with their Wi-Fi, if you check them, I reviewed so many cameras on this channel, from Reolink to Argus to you name it. There's a lot of different cameras, and basically the apps all do the same thing. They allow you to get push notifications if it detects movement. You can turn those on or off. Some of them have two-way audio depending on which cam you have, and of course they allow you to live view the feed. A doorbell is pretty much the same thing. It works just like a Wi-Fi camera, with the exception of having a doorbell that sort of activates a push notification. So this can pick up motion and send you an alert, but this can also naturally ring your phone. And it works really well. The only thing I had a problem with is that every phone's a little bit different. I wasn't getting the push notification. So basically the idea in this is when somebody presses the doorbell, it'll ring. And I'm going to press that right now. And my phone's not here, but I'm going to press so you guys can hear what it sounds like. So the doorbell itself has an audible chime, okay, letting the person who pressed it know. Upstairs right now, my phone is actually ringing. So I'm getting a push notification saying, hey, somebody's at the door, and I can answer that call with two-way audio and of course video, where they can't see me, but I can see them, of course. Now the issue with that was, make sure, depending on which phone you have, a lot of these power options on a lot of the newer phones kind of put apps sort of to sleep. And I was having an issue with that notification coming through, or actually ringing my phone, even on my own home network. And when I changed the battery settings on there, or some of the apps I don't want to be on standby or anything like that, I want them to always be active and always be ready to go. In the event that somebody comes up, there's somebody rings the doorbell, there's movement, I want those to be instant. And so that's what you have to change in the app. Every phone's a little bit different, but I just wanted to go ahead and throw that out there because I was having a little bit of an issue with that until I changed those settings. It does come also with a secondary chime, which is great because you can put this in any outlet around your house, and This will actually ring. I think there's like 30 different settings you can select the melody. I went with a very basic standard doorbell. I'm not into the music and all that stuff. One thing I think they should have done was maybe put less of the audible tones in here and put more of standard classic style doorbell tones, because I don't really want to hear jingle bells. You know what I mean? I don't really want to hear a long drawn out song. I want a doorbell to sound like a doorbell, okay? And we all have ringtones. You can select whatever you want. I want something to be different to how my phone sounds. Now, I don't have jingle bells playing, but you get what I'm trying to say. So one improvement, I think, would to maybe put just 10 different melodies and leave it at that with more of a classic doorbell sounds, okay? But that's just personal preference. There is an LED ring right in the front, or 2 LED lights. Basically, when somebody presses this, you get a visual and audio notification, which is great because upstairs in my home, I can barely hear my doorbell. My doorbell is located more towards the kitchen, downstairs, where my standard doorbell is. I'm going to talk about that in a second. And this one here I put in the bedroom because I can't tell you the number of times I'll be upstairs in bed watching a movie and somebody will ring my doorbell and I can't hear it. Well, with this will ring that secondary chime and let me know that, hey, somebody's at the door. Nice thing about this too, that you do have that visual. So if you have it somewhere located and maybe you can't hear it, maybe get the music up, you'll be able to see it flash. So that's pretty cool. One thing to note about this: when you get the device and you plug this in, it will not work until you sync this. And I didn't realize that. Really straightforward. You press and hold the button on the side here. It'll light up, and then you basically press the doorbell, and it will pair the doorbell with the actual receiver. So that's pretty cool. Not a lot of doorbells give you that. A lot of times they do have that as an option, but they cost quite a bit more. So that's great. That's included for the price. And what else? It does have a bracket, which I will show you guys in just a second on how you mount that. And so that's pretty much about it. You have push notifications, you have two-way audio and video, motion detection, infrared, and a secondary chime. This doorbell also, like most of the doorbells, allows you to be able to hook this up to your standard doorbell and replace your standard doorbell with this. And I want to discuss some of the pros and cons and some of the issues I did have. That is going to be based on what you have in your home already as far as a transformer and a doorbell, whether it's a manual doorbell or an electronic doorbell. That's going to make a difference, and which is why I ran into a problem. So also with this, if you do have an issue setting it up like I did with your standard doorbell or replacing your standard doorbell, you can use this as a standalone. So this thing will charge, I think it has a 32 milliamp battery if I'm not mistaken, and this will hold a charge for over 6 months depending on use. I've had it full charge. I've charged it probably about, I don't know, 2 months ago, and I still have about, I think it was 67%. So really great. There is a micro USB slot or micro SD card slot for local recording as well. And then of course you have your micro USB for your charging, okay? Now, let's talk about, so I told you guys about the pros, kind of the features. Let me show you a couple close-ups here, just what it looks like. You know, I mean, they're pretty standard across the board on what you're getting a lot of these things. Some are smaller, some are larger. I like the fact that it's noticeable. You know, somebody walks up, they know that it's there. And when you press the doorbell, it's nice. It gives them a tone as well, letting them know that, hey, I've pressed the doorbell. Your standard doorbell doesn't have that, although most of the time you can hear it kind of through the front door or whatnot. So, all right, so let's talk about, I gave you guys the pros. Now, I always hate doing this, but I want to talk about the cons with this device. So, I had an issue using this to replace my standard doorbell. And so if on the back here, you'll notice there are a couple contacts. And I'm going to take you guys there right now, okay, of course, and show you guys what the bracket looks like, okay? So this is where I have it located here. Let me just flip the camera around here, guys. Bear with me. So that's where the bracket is. And you can see my standard doorbell is right here. And in the United States, it's pretty much where doorbells are. They're at your waist level, again, depending on how tall you are. For me, it's about my waist level. And you'll notice that I have this mounted quite a bit higher, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. So you'll see here there's a couple screws and of course a couple contacts, and what you do is when you pop that doorbell on here, those contacts, those spring-loaded little tabs on the back of the doorbell make contact with this plate, and this is where you would hook up your existing doorbell, which would replace this one here. There's two wires. You basically screw them onto the contacts, pop the doorbell on, and you're good to go. So let me bring you guys back into the house here, and I want you guys just to remember this spot right here. And I made kind of a carved out section on the bracket here, and I just want to let you guys see that, and I want to tell you guys why I did that, and I'll explain why in just a second here. Let me get you back in the house where it's not quite as noisy from the traffic and cars and stuff. All right, so basically to hook this up, you would take the doorbell, again, take your old doorbell off, hook up the 2 wires. They state, and the instructions on this are pretty vague. So I checked out the Ring website because most of these doorbells are pretty much standard across the board. One thing, anytime you're gonna mess with power, kill the breaker, of course. If you're uncomfortable, don't have the experience, hire an electrician, just a legal disclaimer there. But it is pretty easy if you're familiar and comfortable with that kind of stuff. 2 wires, when I looked on the Ring website, and even in the manual came with this, it said that the polarity doesn't matter. Well, when I hooked it up originally, the polarity did matter. My doorbell would not ring. So I took it off, flipped the wires around, put the doorbell back onto the plate, and sure enough, pressed the button and it rang my doorbell. Now the issue is that every house is a little bit different, and information based off the Ring website, if you have an electronic doorbell, you have to use a resistor, okay? Not sure why that is. It's something to do with the electronic doorbells. And the difference between an electronic doorbell is that the electronic doorbell makes kind of an audible tone like the what do you call this? The secondary chime, and just like the doorbell itself did. It's an electronic doorbell. I actually have a mechanical doorbell. So what happens is when you press that button, it sends a signal to a transformer, and then the transformer basically it causes, again, I'm gonna butcher this, okay? But anyway, long story short, there are 2 metal bars in there and 2 what we will call, I guess, strikers. So when you press your doorbell, these actual strikers move and they press against the metal, and they kind of bang on the metal, and you get that ding dong noise. And that's how basically a mechanical doorbell works. There's actually movement going on. When it comes to an electronic doorbell, there is no movement. It's just a preloaded sound that comes through a speaker, basically. So that's the difference there. And it said on the Ring website, and there was no mention of mechanical or electronic in the instructions that came with this, which kind of sucks. So I kind of went with what the Ring website said, again, because these are all pretty similar across the board. And so I tried it. Now, when I pressed the button, it did ring the doorbell, but it rang the doorbell several times. It rang it ding dong, ding dong. So it cycled through twice. And then when you walked over to the doorbell, you could hear the what we'll call strikers actually moving when the doorbell's not being depressed. Now, I think that has something to do with the transformer based on some of the research I've done. Depending on the voltage of the transformer you have, when you go ahead and hook this up, this is actually going to draw power from that circuit to charge the device. So it's always going to be charged. You don't have to worry about charging it up. And that's great. That's what I wanted to do. But the problem is, again, is that I don't think the transformer that I have in my doorbell in this home is large enough or provides enough voltage to actually power the doorbell and the device at the same time. So I couldn't get it to work. Your home might be different. In my case, I could not get it to work, and that was disappointing. So being that it was a sponsorship deal, and it was nice to send this to me, I wanted to use it anyway so I could still make the video. And so I mounted it outside above the other doorbell. Now it's a little confusing. I know people are gonna say, oh, it's confusing, but really, if 2 doorbells confuse you, you got bigger problems, okay? It's pretty straightforward. Anybody who knows you, I mean, it's gonna stop by. Like my family, they know if they're gonna come over. Common sense, one of my cars is gone, I'm probably not home. They come over, they see the cars there, they're gonna ring the doorbell, they're gonna ring both doorbells, you know? This way, I'm guaranteed to hear them, whether I'm upstairs or downstairs. So that's fantastic, and that's just something I tell people when you stop by, ring both doorbells. And most people, if they stop by and they ring your standard doorbell and nobody's coming to the door, they're going to try ringing the other one. So not really a big deal, but it would have been nice to actually have this powered and ring both the downstairs doorbell and the upstairs doorbell, or the chime, at the same time. So that's one issue I have with this. That's nothing against the device. I think it just has something to do with the transformer in my home with my particular doorbell. You might have something different. So that was my disappointment, but again, not the device's fault. So the other thing about it, being that I had to use it as a secondary doorbell, is something I'm gonna have to charge. Now there is a set pin on the bottom, and this is a little set screw right there, and it gave you a little Allen wrench. It's a very, very small screw. My gripe with this is that when you mount this, it's basically to prevent theft or somebody popping it off really easily. It does kind of clip in, but the set screw holds it down, and it just gives a little more of a theft prevention, right? So the problem is that this screw is so small, and it's so close to the back where you're going to be mounting this against the house, it's very difficult to turn this with an Allen wrench. And this, again, the screw is so small, I mean, I dropped it just in my living room. Luckily, it landed on the table, but out here, if I drop it, it's gone. I have boxwood shrubs underneath there with mulch. You'll never find it. It's so small. So an improvement would have been to maybe have a slightly different bracket and maybe put the set screws on the sides maybe, or just something larger. A much bigger screw would have been a lot easier and moved a little bit closer to the front. So that's a real gripe there. However, if you get this to work where you're never gonna have to remove it and never have to charge it, then it's not really an issue. You get it in there once and you're done, okay? Now the other issue with this that I have is that the camera on this is not a wide angle camera. I don't know if you can see that peephole right there. That's another doorbell that I have that was sent to me by Equus. And that one there has a very, very kind of a fisheye lens. So that thing gets, I mean, a really high picture, a really low picture, and a very wide picture. With this, if you put this where your standard doorbell is, you're gonna see people from the chest down. It doesn't have any adjustment, and it doesn't have a wide enough angle to actually get their face. Now you might get them coming up, but once they're standing there where most people press the doorbell, you're not gonna see them. And that's a real problem with this device. They should have put something maybe with an adjustment, maybe kind of a pivot on here where you could adjust the lens, or just put in a different lens. There are many, many lenses out there and a lot of different other doorbells, that one included, that get the whole field of view. If that thing, you could mount that thing almost at your knees and it'll still get the entire front door, so, or the entire front walkway. So that's a real downside to this, is that if you're gonna use this and you're gonna replace your normal doorbell, everybody's doorbells for the most part in this country is at waist level. You're not going to be able to see their face with this. So that's a real problem with this doorbell. Now the other thing about this is, being that I'm going to mount this and have to charge it maybe once every 6 months, once a year, I need to be able to access this USB port. Now, it's great that it has the micro SD card for onboard recording, but to access this USB port, when you have it mounted on the bracket, and let's say you're like, okay, I don't want to not use a set screw, I'm going to deal with that. Maybe you have a different front porch where if you drop the screw, it's not really going to be an issue because it's not going to fall anywhere, or maybe you're going to be able to catch it, who knows. But if you're going to use that small set screw, in order for you to charge this, you can't access the USB port because the bracket covers all this. So you have to take it off the bracket to charge it, whether that's, you know. So my idea was, I have an outlet right near there. For me, I would like to basically just be able to say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna leave that on there, put the set screw in there, and basically just once every 6 months run an extension cord over to the or the USB charger over to the outlet, which really would just standard 6-foot cable reaches fine, and charge it up, and then, you know, in, you know, what, 6 hours, 10 hours, however long it takes, just, you know, unplug it, put it inside, and you're good to go. You don't have to worry about it anymore. So what I did is, I actually, that little groove I showed you, I took a Dremel tool and just cut a little square out of the side of it. So now, when I have this mounted on there, even with the set screw in, I can just easily plug this right in and charge it without having to remove it. So that's something you can do. It's very simple. It's something that the manufacturer should have thought about. And I know why they did it. They wanted to be able to protect the micro SD card for somebody going in there and popping that out. But they should have put the micro SD card on the bottom if they want to do that, and then maybe put the charging port on the side. Just food for thought. I mean, I think that those would have been a couple great improvements. But overall, the doorbell works. Again, battery life is great. Night vision's great. You can definitely see very well out the front of the house. And I wish I could show you guys that, but you know, my phone's upstairs, and it's, you know, it's a camera like anything else. So if you've seen one camera, you've seen them all. So, but those are my only gripes with the device. I think it's, you know, like I said, I think it's the price point for when it was $57 or $59 shipped is fantastic. You really can't beat that. The fact that it gives you a secondary chime is great. I'm so glad they did, because if they didn't, I wouldn't be able to use this for anything. So very, very inclusive, very good thinking on their part that they included this, because without this, again, it wouldn't work. So what's cool about this too is that if you live in an apartment and you want to add this, you know, a lot of people who live in apartments, they can't go changing the doorbell out. You know, your landlord's not going to let you do that. But if you live in an apartment, this is something you could very easily, even if you want to use double stick tape, stick it to the front door. You know, there's some great double stick sticky tapes you can get that will stick this right on the front door if you need, or right where the peephole is, you know, wherever you need. Or if you want to put in a small screw, you know, nobody's really going to notice that. But it's great that people who live in a situation where they can't really mount anything that permanent, they can still use this and still use the secondary chime. So overall, like I said, I think it's a great device. I think that the price point for $59 is really super competitive. Despite some of the issues, I think the next go around, E-Link Smart, you know, I think most companies improve upon their designs, and that's why it's great about sending this stuff out to influencers like myself to test it out. I have a lot of experience with this kind of stuff, and these are things that they can very easily change. So let's recap. Easily change. Better manual for installation purposes. Definitely do a little research on whether you have an electronic doorbell or a mechanical doorbell, and if you get that figured out, and you know, check the Ring website, whatever. If this needs to be used with a resistor, if you have an electronic doorbell, include the resistor so people are going to be able to, you know, hook this up properly and not have it cause any kind of issues. Definitely change the camera. I think that is the biggest problem with this, is that the camera, just if you're gonna mount this down low, it's not gonna be able to see anything. So that is a real huge problem. So hopefully on the next go around, they make those improvements. Again, the price point's definitely there, the quality's there. You get a lot of bang for your buck, and just making those small, the set screw, another thing, the bracket, those are very, very small things that they can fix on the new generation or the next generation, should they make one, that would just make this product, just knock it right out of the park as far as the value and the quality and the performance, of course. So, and the features. So alright guys, that's it. 20-minute video. I know it's kind of long-winded, but I had a lot to say about the device. I want to again thank E-Link Smart for the generosity in sending me this to review and add to my home. Setup was real easy. You know, it connects to Wi-Fi. And it's great that they have that system set up where even though it's connected to Wi-Fi, it's on a battery. But again, I've been running it 6 months, or about 2 to 3 months, and no issues. Still have like 67% charge on it. So it's an awesome device, guys. I definitely recommend it. And if you guys have any questions whatsoever, don't hesitate to ask. Drop a comment. If you like the content, do subscribe to the channel and click the bell to be notified anytime I upload a new video. If you do want to make a purchase, please do it through my links in the description. They are affiliate links. It does help to support the channel. I get a small commission if you make purchase through those links. Once again, guys, thanks for being a part of the channel. Remember to subscribe, and always have a wonderful day. Take care.